So there's a concept called domestic asset protection trusts, or DAPS, D-A-P-T apostrophe S is an acronym for most things in estate and tax law. The concept is that up until about 20 years ago, the only way that a trust assets would be protected is if they were funded by some third party. So what that means is that if my mama and daddy leave me assets into a trust, and it's their assets that go into the trust for my benefit, then if it's a spendthrift trust, then what that means is that generally speaking, most creditors of mine cannot get to the trust assets. But historically, the rule is that if the assets didn't come from somebody else, if they were self-funded, in other words, if I go set up a trust and I put my own assets into that trust, historically there was no asset protection for those sorts of situations up until about 15 or 20 years ago. And once again, the states started becoming really aggressive with trying to update their trust laws. Delaware, I've seen a report by Chase that said there were literally billions of dollars that came into the Delaware trust because of them being very aggressive and proactive with how they were amending the trust code. And this was one of the things that they did, is that a citizen of Louisiana or any other state can go establish a trust that's based out of Delaware, that is governed by Delaware law. And under that Delaware law statute, it states that I can put my own assets into that trust. And any creditors that I have after the establishment and funding of that trust cannot get to those trust assets in all but very, very rare circumstances. So it's another way for people. We have a lot of doctors, for example, who are constantly concerned about getting sued. We have a lot of business owners that really are in high-risk businesses that are worried about losing everything. And, you own S Corporation stock, for example. If you get into a lawsuit, they can go seize that stock. Well, what if instead we put those business interests into a domestic asset protection trust? What if we put your brokerage account into that DAPT? Well, now we can actually protect it. And then if you have a good trustee and that trustee decides to give you the assets back later if you need them, then you're really protected. So it's a little bit more complex, obviously, in the structure than that, but that is an overly simplified way to try to explain, the benefits of using the DAPT.